Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Agnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutapadakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrijatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमां विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणि प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत् शृण्वतं स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तना हृद्यन्दस्तो यभद्राणि विदुनति सुहृत्सतं नस्तप्रायस्व भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भागवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Before reciting the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. 3:22. तस्यैवं रममाणस्य संवत्सरगणान् बहून् गृहमेधेषु योगेषु विरागः समजायत तस्य हि एवं दस ramamanasya, enjoying samvatsara, many years, ganan, number, bahun, great many, grihamedeshu, in household life, yogeshu, in sex life, viraga, detachment, samajayata, awakened. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The Lord was thus engaged in household life for many, many years, but at last his detachment from ephemeral sex life was fully manifested. Purport. Even though the Lord is never attached to any kind of material sex life, as the universal teacher, he remained as a householder for many, many years, just to teach others how one should live in householder life. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that the word samajayata means fully exhibited. In all his activities while present on the earth, the Lord exhibited detachment. This was fully displayed when he wanted to teach by example that one should not remain attached to household life for all the days of one's life. One should naturally develop detachment as matter of course. The Lord's detachment from household life does not indicate detachment from his eternal associates, the transcendental cowherd damsels. But the Lord desired to end his so-called attachment to the three modes of material nature. He can never be detached from the service of his transcendental associates like Rukmini and other goddesses of fortune, as described in the Brahma Samhita, Lakshmi Sahasra Sadasambhrama Seva Sevyamanam 537. 23. दैवादीनेषु कामेषु दैवादीना स्वयं पुमान् कुविश्रम्भेत योगेन योगेश्वरम् अनुव्रता. Daiva supernatural adineshu being controlled, kameshu in sense enjoyment, daiva adina controlled by natural superforce, swayam himself puman living entity, kaha whoever vishrambeta can have faith in, yogena by devotional service, yogeshwaram the supreme lord, anuvrita serving. Translation: every living entity is controlled by a supernatural force, and thus this sense enjoyment is also under the control of that supernatural force. Every living entity is controlled by a supernatural force, and thus his sense enjoyment is also under the control of that supernatural force. No one therefore can put his faith in Lord Krishna's transcendental sense activities but one who has become a devotee of the Lord by rendering devotional service. Purport. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, no one can understand the transcendental birth and activities of the Lord. The same fact is herein corroborated. No one can No one but one who is enlightened by the devotional service of the Lord can understand the difference between the Lord's activities and those of others, who are controlled by the supernatural force. The sense enjoyment of all animals, men, and demigods within the purview of material universe is controlled by the supernatural force called Prakriti or Daivi Maya. No one is independent in obtaining sense enjoyment, and everyone is in this material world is after sense enjoyment. Persons who are themselves under the control of supernatural power cannot believe that Lord Krishna is not under any control beyond himself in the matter of sense enjoyment. They cannot understand that his senses are transcendental. In the Brahma Samhita, the Lord's senses are described as omnipotent. Yea, with any sense he can perform the activities of the other senses. One who has limited senses cannot believe that the Lord can eat by his transcendental power of hearing and can perform the act of sex life simply by seeing. The controlled living entity cannot even dream of such sense activities in his conditional life, but simply by the activities of Bhakti Yoga, he can understand that the Lord and his activities are always transcendental. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 18:55, Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yaschasmi tatvata. One cannot know even a fraction of the activities of the Lord if he is not a pure devotee of the Lord. 24. Puryam kodachit kridadbiryaduboja kumarakai kopita munaya shepur bhagavan mata kovida. Puryam, in the city of Dwaraka, Kadachit, once upon a time, Kridadbi, by sporting activities, Yadu, the descendants of Yadu, Boja, the descendants of Boja, Kumarakai, princesses, oh no, princes. Kopita became angry. Unaya, the great sages, Sepuhu, cursed, Bhagavad, personality of Godhead, Mata, desire, Kovida, cognizant. Translation. Once upon a time, great sages, were made angry by the sporting activities of the princely descendants of the Yadu and Bhoja dynasties, and thus, as desired by the Lord, the sages cursed them. Hmm. Purport. The associates of the Lord who were playing the part of princes of descendants of the Yadu and Bhoja dynasties were not ordinary living entities. It is not possible that they could offend any saintly man or sage, nor could the sages, who were all pure devotees of the Lord, be influenced to anger by any of the sporting activities of the princes born in the holy dynasty of Yadu or Bhoja, wherein the Lord himself appeared as a descendant. The cursing of the princes by the sages is another transcendental pastime of the Lord to make a show of anger. The princes were cursed in order that one may know that even the descendants of the Lord, who could never be vanquished by any act of material nature, were subjected to the reactions of anger by great devotees of the Lord. One should therefore take great care and attention not to commit an offense at the feet of a devotee of the Lord. Hmm. 25. ततः कतिपयैर्मासैर्वृष्णिभोजन्तका का विष्णुभोजन्तः कद what is this वृष्णिभोजन्तः भोजन्तकादया यायुः प्रभासं समृष्टा रथर्देवा विमोहिता. Tataha thereafter, Katipayai a few, Masai months passing, Vrishni, the descendants of Vrishni, Boja, the descendants of Boja, Andakadadaya, and others like the sons of Andaka. Yayu went, Prabhasam, the place of pilgrimage named Prabhasa, Samhrishta with great pleasure, Ratai on their chariots, Deva by Krishna, Vimohita bewildered. Translation. A few months passed, and then, bewildered by Krishna, all the descendants of Rishni Bhoja and Nandaka, who were incarnations of demigods, went to Prabhasa, while those who were eternal associate devotees of the Lord did not leave but remained in Dvaraka. Hmm. Haribol. Okay, who wants to read? Hare Krishna, Rishikesh Prabhu, Pranjal Prabhu, and Vishnu Prabhu, Tandar Param, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Prabhu Standard.
Thank you for joining. Haribol.
So, bro, may I read one verse?
Yes, Prabhu.
तत्र स्नात्वा पितॄन् देवान् ऋषीञ्चैव तदम्भसा तर्पयित्वाथ विप्रेभ्यो गावो बहु गुण दधुः. Yes, bro, it's called Tatra there Snatva by taking bath Pitrin forefathers Devan demigods. Racine suggests also a certainly that of that Amza by the water Tarpaita pleasing Ath thereupon Viprabhya unto the Brahmanas Gava cows Bahuguna greatly useful that gave in charity. The translation purport by John Grace से भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय. After arriving there, all of them took bath, and with the order of this place of pilgrimage, they offered their respects to the forefathers demigods and great sages, and thus satisfy them. They gave cows to the Brahmanas in all charity. Purport. Amongst the devotees of the Lord, there are several divisions, mainly Nitsiddhas and Sadhan Siddhas. The Nitsiddha devotee never falls down to the region of the material atmosphere, even though they sometimes come into the material plane to execute the mission of the Lord. The Sadhan Siddha devotees are chosen from the conditioned souls. Out of the Sadhan Siddha devotees, there are mixed and pure devotees. The mixed devotees are sometimes enthusiastic about productive activities and are habituated to the philosophical speculation. The pure devotees are free from all these mixture and are completely absorbed in the service of the Lord, regardless of how and where they are situated. Pure devotees of the Lord are not enthusiastic to put aside their service to the Lord in order to go visit holy places of pilgrimage. Great devotee of the Lord in modern times, Srinattam Das Thakur has sung like this. To visit holy places of pilgrimage is another bewilderment of the mind, because devotional service to the Lord at any place, the last word in the spiritual perfection. For pure devotee of the Lord who are completely satisfied with the transcendental long service of the Lord, there is hardly any necessity to visit the various places of pilgrimage. For those who are not so advanced, have the prescribed duties of visiting pilgrimage sites and regularly performing the rituals. The part of the princely order of the Yadu dynasty who went to Prabhas performed all duties to be done in a place of pilgrimage and offered their pious action to their forefather and others. As a rule, every human being is indebted to God, the demigods, great sages, the living entities, people in general, forefathers, etc., for various contributions received from them. Thus, everyone is obliged to repay the debt of gratitude. The Yadus who went to Prabhas pilgrimage site perform their duties by distributing land called well nourished cows in all charity, as described in the following verse. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Who wants to read next? Haribol, Pranjal, Prabhu, your turn. Okay, 27. Hiranyam rajitam sayam vasamsyajinakam balan yanam rathaniban kanyandaram vritti karim api. Hiranyam, gold, rajatam, gold coins. Shayam, bedding. Vasamshi, clothing. Ajina, animal skin, for seats. Kambalan, blankets. Yanam, horses. Ratan, chariots. Iban, elephants. Kanya, girls. Dharam, land. Pritikarin, to provide livelihood. Api also, translation. The Brahmanas were not only given well-fed cows in charity, but also gold coins, bedding, clothing animal skin seeds, blankets, horses, elephants, girls, and sufficient land for maintenance. All these charities were meant for the Brahmanas, whose lives were devoted entirely to the welfare of society, both spiritual and materially. The Brahmanas were not giving their services as paid servants, but the society provided them with all necessities. It was arranged for some of them, Brahmanas, who were in difficulty for marriage to be given girls. The Brahmanas therefore had no economic problems. The Kshatriya kings and rich mercantile men would provide them with all that they needed, and in exchange the Brahmanas were completely devoted to the elevation of society. That was the way of social cooperation between the different castes. When the Brahmana class or caste gradually became easygoing, being fed by the society although they had no Brahminical qualifications. They degraded themselves into Brahmabandhus or disqualified Brahmanas, and thus other members of society also gradually fell down from the societal standard of progressive life. As described in Bhagavad Gita, the caste system is the creation of the Lord and, is arranged according to the quality of work rendered to society and not in terms of birthright, as falsely claimed in the present degraded society. Text 28. Oh, it is the last one. How can that be? Annam chorurasam tebhyo datva bhagavadarpanam ko viprartha savah shura pranemur bhuvimurdapi. Annam, food stuff. Cha, also. Ururasam, highly delicious. Tebya, unto the Brahmanas. Ururasam. Datva, supplying. Bhagavatarpanam, which was first offered to the personality of Godhead. Go, cow, Vipra, Brahmanas, Artha, purpose, Ashva, Asavaha, purpose of living, Shuraha, all the valiant Kshatriyas, Pranemu, offered obeisances, Bhuvi, touching the ground, Murdabi, with their heads. Translation. Thereafter, they offered the Brahmanas highly delicious foodstuffs, which were first offered to the personality of Godhead, and they offered their respectful obeisances by touching their heads to the ground. They lived perfectly by protecting the cows and the Brahmanas. Purport. The behavior exhibited by the descendants of Yadu in the pilgrimage site of Prabhas was highly cultured and exactly to the point of human perfection. The perfection of human life is attained by following three principles of civilization: protecting the cows, maintaining the Brahminical culture, and above all, becoming a pure devotee of the Lord. Without becoming a devotee of the Lord, one cannot perfect one's human life. The perfection of human life is to be elevated to the spiritual world, where there is no birth, no death, no disease, and no old age. That is the highest perfectional aim of human life. Without this aim, any amount of material advancement in so-called comforts can only bring the defeat of the human form of life. Brahmanas and Vaishnavas do not accept any foodstuff which is not first offered to the personality of Godhead. Foodstuff offered to the Lord is accepted by the devotees as the mercy of the Lord. After all, the Lord supplies all kinds of foodstuff, both to the human being and other animals. A human being must be conscious of the fact that all foodstuffs, namely grains, vegetables, milk, water, etc., the prime necessities of life, are supplied by the Lord for mankind, and such foodstuffs cannot be manufactured by any scientist or materialist in laboratory or factory established by human effort. The intelligent class of men are called Brahmanas, and thus who have and those who have realized the absolute truth in its supreme personal feature are called Vaishnavas. But both of them accept foodstuffs which are the remnants of sacrifice. Sacrifice is ultimately meant to satisfy the Jagna Purusha, Vishnu. In Bhagavad Gita 3:13, it is said that one who accepts foodstuffs as the remnants of sacrifice is freed from all sinful reactions, and one who cooks foodstuffs for maintenance of his body takes in all kinds of sins, which leading only which lead one which lead only to suffering. The foodstuffs prepared by the Yadus at the Prabhas pilgrimage site to offer to the bona fide Brahmanas there were all offered to the person of Godhead Vishnu. They offered their sincere obeisances by touching their head to the ground. The Yadus, or any enlightened family in Vedic culture, are trained for attainment of human perfection by total cooperation or of service between the different divisions of social orders. The word Urum Rasam is also significant here. Hundreds of delicacies can be prepared simply by the combination of grains, vegetables, and milk. Grains, vegetables, and milk. All such preparations are in the mode of goodness, and therefore can be offered to the personality of Godhead. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 9:26, the Lord accepts only foodstuffs which are within the range of fruits, flowers, leaves, liquids, provided they are offered in complete devotional service. Devotional service is the only criterion how it's pronounced criterion for a bona fide offering of the Lord to the Lord. The Lord assures that He positively eats such foodstuffs offered by the devotees. So, judging from all sides, the Yadus were perfectly trained, civilized persons, and their being cursed by the Brahmana sages was only by the desire of the Lord. The whole incident was a warning to all concerned that no one should behave lightly with the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the third chapter, third canto of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, entitled The Lord's Pastimes out of Vrindavan. Ribol.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu's Dandot Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada. I can continue from now on.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Chapter 4. Vidura approaches Maitreya. Text 1. Uddhava Uvacha. Prabhu, can you show the Sanskrit text? I want to read Sanskrit. Yeah, the Sanskrit, okay. अथ ते तदनुज्ञाता भुक्त्वा पीत्वा च वारुणीं तया विभ्रंशितज्ञाना दुरुक्तैर्मर्मपृस्पृशु. Synonyms. Uddhava Uvacha. Uddhava said, Atha, thereafter, they, the Yadavas, that by the Brahmanas, Anugnatha, being permitted, Bhuktva, partaking, Pitva, drinking cha and varunim liquor, taya by that vibramsita jnanah being bereft of knowledge, durukte with harsh words, marma the core of the heart, pasprishu touched. Translation. Thereafter, all of them, the descendants of Vrishni and Bhoja, being permitted by the Brahmanas, partook of the remnants of prasadam and also drank liquor made of rice. By drinking, they all became delirious and bereft of knowledge. They touched the cores of each other's heart with harsh words. Delirious means intoxicated, is it?
Yes,
By
Prabhu.
drinking, they all became delirious. Okay. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. In ceremonies, when Brahmanas and Vaishnavas are sumptuously fed, the host partakes of the remnants of foodstuff after the guest has given permission. So the descendants of Vrishni and Bhoja formerly took permission from the Brahmanas and ate the prepared foodstuffs. Kshatriyas are permitted to drink at certain occasions, so they all drank a kind of light liquor made of rice. By such drinking, they became delirious and bereft of sense, so much so that they forgot their relationship with one another and used harsh words which touch the cores of each other's hearts. Drinking is so harmful that even such a highly cultured family becomes affected by intoxication and can forget themselves in a drunken state. The descendants of Vrishni and Bhoja were not expected to forget themselves in this way, but by the will of Supreme it happened, and thus they became harsh towards one another. Text 2. Can you zoom in the Sanskrit only? No.
Sorry, Prabhu.
Upper part. Tesha. Yeah. तेषां मेरेयदोषेण विषमीकृतचेतसां निमिल्लोचति रववासी देयनूनामिव मर्दनम्. Synonyms: tesham, of them, maireya, of intoxication, doshena, by the faults, vishamit, krita, become imbalanced, chetasam, of those of whom the minds, nimlochati, sets, ravo, the sun, asit, takes place, venunam, of the bamboos, eva, as, mardanam, destruction. Translation: as by the friction of bamboos destruction takes place, so also at sunset by the interaction of the faults of intoxication, all their minds became unbalanced and destruction took place. Purport: when there is need of fire in the forest by the will of the Supreme, it takes place due to friction among the bamboos. Similarly, the descendants of Yadu were all destroyed by the will of the Lord by the process of self-destruction. Just as there is no possibility of a fire occurring deep in a forest due to human effort, so also there was no power in the universe which could vanquish the descendants of the Yadus who were protected by the Lord. The Lord wanted them to be so destroyed, and thus they obeyed his order as indicated by the word Tad Anugnyata. Text 3. Bhagavan Satmamayaya Gatim Tam Avalokya Sa Saraswatim Upashprishya Vrishamulam Upavishat. Synonyms: Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead, Atma Mayaya, by his internal potency, Gatim, the end, Tam, that, Avalokya, foreseeing, Saha, he, Krishna, Saraswatim, the river Saraswati, Upasprishya, after sipping water, Vriksha Moolam, at the foot of a tree, Upavishat, sat down. Translation: the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, after forcing the end of his family by his internal potency, went to the bank of the river Saraswati and sat down there underneath a tree. Purport: all the above-mentioned activities of the Yadus and Bhojas were executed by the internal potency of the Lord, because he wanted them to be dispatched to their respective abodes after he had finished his mission of descent. They were all his sons and grandsons, and were given complete protection by the paternal affection of the Lord. How they could be vanquished in the presence of the Lord is answered in this verse. Everything was done by the Lord himself. Swatma Maya, yeah. The Lord's family members were either incarnations of his plenary expansions or demigods from the heavenly planets, and thus before his departure he separated them by his internal potency. Before being dispatched to their respective abodes, they were sent to the holy place of Prabhasa, where they performed pious activities and took food and drink to their heart's content. It was then arranged for them to be sent back to their abodes so that others could see that the powerful Yadu dynasty was no longer in the world. In the previous verse, the word Anugnata, indicating that the whole sequence of events was arranged by the Lord, is significant. These particular pastimes of the Lord are not a manifestation of his external energy or material nature. Such an exhibition of his internal potency is eternal, and therefore one should not conclude that the Yadus and Bhojas died in a drunken state in an ordinary fratricidal war. Sri Jiva Goswami comments on these incidents as magical performances. Text 4. Aham chokto bhagavata प्रपन्नार्ति हनेनः बदरीं त्वां प्रयाहीति स्वकुलं सञ्जिहीर्षुना. Synonyms: aham, I, cha, and ukta was told Bhagavata by the Supreme Lord, prapanna of the surrendered, arti harena by he who is the vanquisher of the distress, indeed, badrim to badari, tvam you, prayahi should go, iti the swakulam his own family, sanji hirshuna by desiring to destroy. Translation: the Lord is the vanquisher of the distress of one who is surrendered unto him. Thus he who desired to destroy his family told me previously to go to Badrikashram. So someone told Vidura to go to Badrikashram. Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect. While at Dwarka, Uddhava was warned to avoid the distress which were to follow the disappearance of the Lord and the destruction of Yadu dynasty. He was advised to proceed to. Oh, so it was Uddhava. Vidura approaches Maitreya. So who is telling these verses? Uddhava is telling, is it? Yeah, Uddhava is telling this to Vidura.
Yes,
Yeah,
bro.
correct. The last chapter, it is continuing from the last chapter. Yeah. While at Dwarka, Uddhava was warned to avoid the distresses which were to follow the disappearance of the Lord and the destruction of the Yadu dynasty. He was advised to proceed to Badrikashram because there he could associate with the devotees of Naranarayan, and in their association of devotional service, he could increase his eagerness for chanting, hearing, knowledge, and detachment. Text 5. तथापि तत् अभिप्रेतं ज्ञानम् अहम् अरिन्दम पृष्ठतो निवाग्मं भर्तु पादविश्लेषणाक्षम. Synonyms: Tathapi, yet, in spite of, tad abhipretam, his desire, janam, knowing, no, not, aham, I, arindama, O subduer of the enemy, vidura, prishtata, behind, anvagamam, followed, bhartu, of the master, pada vishleshana, separation from his lotus feet, akshama, not being able. Translation: Yet in spite of my knowledge, his desire to destroy the dynasty, O Arindama, Vidura, I followed him because it was impossible for me to bear separation from the lotus feet of the master. Text 6. Adrakshamekamashinnam vichinvan daitam patem Sriniketam Saraswatyam Tritaketam Aketanam. Synonyms: Adraksham, I saw, Ekam, alone, Ashinam, sitting, Vichinvan, deeply thinking, Daitam, Partan, Patim, master, Sriniketam, the shelter of the goddess of fortune, Saraswatyam, on the bank of the Saraswati, Kritaketam, taking shelter, Aketanam, being situated without a shelter. Translation: Thus following, I saw my patron and master, Lord Shri Krishna, sitting alone and deeply thinking, taking shelter on the bank of the river Saraswati, although he is the shelter of the goddess of fortune. Purport: Those who are in the renounced order of life often take shelter underneath a tree. The Lord was found by Uddhava in that condition of taking shelter, as do persons who have no shelter. Because he is the proprietor of everything, everywhere is his shelter, and everywhere is under his shelter. The entire material and spiritual cosmic manifestation is sustained by him, and therefore he is the shelter of everything. So there was nothing astonishing in his taking shelter in the way of the unsheltered who are in the renounced order of life. Text 7. Syama vadhatam virajam प्रशान्तरानुलोचनं दोर्भिश्चतुर्भिर्विदितं पीतकौशाम्बरेण च. Synonyms: Syama avadatam, beautiful with black color. Virajam, formed of pure goodness. Prashanta, peaceful. Aruna, reddish. Lochana, eyes. Dorbhi, by the arms. Chaturbhi, four. Viditam, being recognized. Pita, yellow. Kausha, silken. Ambarena, with garments. Cha, and. Translation: The Lord's body is blackish, but is eternal, full of bliss and knowledge, and very, very beautiful. His eyes are always peaceful, and they are reddish like the rising morning sun. I could immediately recognize him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead by his four hands, different symbolic representations, and yellow colored silk garments. Report. Text 8. वाम उराव अधिश्रित्य दक्षिणाघ्रि सरोरुहम् अपाश्रितार भकास्वत्तम अक्षम त्यक्ता पिप्पलम. Synonyms: Vame, on the left. Urav, high thigh. Adhishritya, placed on. Dakshina Angri, Saroruham, the right lotus foot. Apashrita, taking rest against. Arbhak, young. Ashwatham, banyan tree. Aksham, cheerful. Tyakta, having left. Pippalam, household comforts. Translation: The Lord was sitting, taking rest against a young banyan tree, with his right lotus foot on his left thigh. And although he had left all household comforts, he took quite cheerful in that posture. Yeah, so the description of Lord is given here in his four-handed form.
Yes, Prabhu, I was wondering about that also. Therefore,
Purport. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the Lord's sitting posture, keeping his back against the newly grown banyan tree, is also meaningful. Ashwatha, the banyan tree, is so called because the tree does not die very quickly. It continues to live for many, many years. His legs and their energies are the material ingredients, which are five in all: earth, water, fire, air, and sky. The material energies represented by the banyan tree are all products of his external potency and are therefore kept to his back. And because this particular universe is the smallest of all, the banyan tree is therefore designated as small or as a child. Tyakta Pippalam indicates that he had now finished his pastimes in this particular small universe. But since the Lord is absolute and eternally blissful, there is no difference between his leaving or accepting something. The Lord was now prepared to leave this particular universe and go into another, just as the sun rises on one particular planet and sets in another simultaneously, but does not change its own situation. Text 9. Tasmin Maha Bhagavato Dvaipayana Suhrit Sakha Lokan Anucharan Siddha Ashashada Yadichaya. Synonyms: Tasmin, then, Mahabhagavata, a great devotee of the Lord; Dvaipayana, of Krishna; Dvaipayana Vyasa, Suhrit, a well-wisher; Sakha, a friend; Lokan, the three world; Anucharan, traveling; Siddhe, in that ashram; Asada, arrived; Yadrichaya, by his own perfect accord. Translation. At that time, after traveling in many parts of the world, Maitreya, a great devotee of the Lord and a friend and well-wisher of the great sage Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa, reached that spot out of his own perfect accord. Purport. Maitreya was one of the disciples of Maharshi Parashar, the father of Vyasadeva. Thus, Vyasadeva and Maitreya were friends and mutual well-wishers. By some fortunate accident, Maitreya reached the place where Lord Sri Krishna was resting. To meet the Lord is not an ordinary incident. Maitreya was a great sage and a learned scholar, philosopher, but not a pure devotee of the Lord. And therefore, his meeting with the Lord at that time may have been due to Agnat Sukriti or some unknown devotional service. Pure devotees always engage in pure devotional activities, and therefore their meeting with the Lord is natural. But when those who are not up to that standard meet the Lord, is due to the foreseen fortune of accidental devotional service. Text 10. So Maitreya Rishi was going to meet Vyasadeva, but accidentally he met the Lord there
yes,
because
Prabhu.
of his Agnat Sukriti. And Vyasadeva is also called Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa. Anyone knows the reason behind it? I kind of remember, but not very clearly.
I forgot, Prabhu.
I think Shubham Prabhu must know. Shubham Prabhu knows so much. Shubham Prabhu, you know why Vyasadeva is called as Krishna Dvaipayana Vyas also?
Yes, Prabhu, because Krishna he was Brahmis, Dvaipayan because Prabhu he was born in a dweep in Yamuna river,
Oh, yes.
and Vyas because he divided the Vedas.
Yes, Prabhu.
Jai Hari Bol. Yeah, correct. And Vyasdev is also incarnation of Krishna. That's Shaktiavesh avatar.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. Text 10. Tasyan तस्यानुराक्तस्य मुनेर्मुकुन्द प्रमोदभावानतकन्धरस्य आश्रन्वतो माम् अनुरागः समीक्षया विश्रमयन् उवाच. Synonyms: Tasya, his, Maitreya's, Anuraktasya, although attached, Mune, of the sage, Mukunda, the Lord who awards salvation, Pramoda Bhava, in a pleasing attitude, Anata, lowered, Kandharasya, of the shoulder, Ashranvatha, while thus hearing, Mama, unto me, Anuragahasa, with kind smiling, Samikshaya, particularly seeing me, Vishramayan, allowing me complete rest, Vacha, said. Translation: Maitreya Muni was greatly attached to him, the Lord, and he was listening in a pleasing attitude with his shoulder lowered, with a smile and a particular glance upon me. Having allowed me to rest, the Lord spoke as follows. Purport: Although both Uddhava and Maitreya were great souls, the Lord's attention was more on Uddhava because he was a spotlessly pure devotee, a Jnana Bhakta, or one whose devotion is mixed with the monistic viewpoint, is not a pure devotee. Although Maitreya was a devotee, his devotion was mixed. The Lord reciprocates with his devotees on the basis of transcendental love and not on the basis of philosophical knowledge or fruitive activities. In the transcendental loving service of the Lord, there is no place for monistic knowledge or fruitive activities. The gopis in Vrindavan were neither highly learned scholars nor mystic yogis. They had spontaneous love for the Lord, and thus he became their heart and soul, and the gopis also became the heart and soul of the Lord. Lord Chaitanya approved the relationship of the gopis with the Lord as supreme. Herein, the Lord's attitude towards Uddhava was more intimate than with Maitreya Muni. Haribol. If anyone wants to continue,
Haribol.
Rishikesh Prabhu, Vishnu Prabhu, Haribol, Hare Krishna.
What is the time? Let's see.
It's
It's
9.
already 2. We need to go to 6 Astakam prayers.
Okay, let's stop that.
Yes, Prabhu.
Haribol. Thank you.
तर्पणमार्जनं भवमहादावाग्निर्वापनं श्रेयःकरवचन्द्रिकावितरणं विद्यावधूजीवनम् आनन्दाम्बुधिवर्धनं प्रतिपदां पूर्णामृतस्वादनं सर्वात्मा स्नपनं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्णसङ्कीर्तनम्
नाम्नामकारि बहुधा निज सर्वशक्तिस्तत्रार्पितानि अमिता स्मरणेन काल एतादृशी तव कृपा भगवन् ममापि दुर्दैवमित्रिशमिहा जनितानुराग.
तरोरपसहिष्णुना अमानिना मानदेन कीर्तनीय सदा हरे
न धनं न जनं न सुन्दरीं कवितां राजगदीशकामये मम जन्मनि जन्मनीश्वरे भवताद्भक्तिरहेतुकी त्वयि अयि नन्दतनुज किङ्करं पतितां मां विषमे भवाम्बुधौ कृपया तव पादपङ्कजस्थितधूलिसदृशं विचिन्तय नयनं गलदश्रुधारया वदनं गलितहृदया गिरा पुलकेर्निचितं वपु कदा तव नाम ग्रहणे भविष्यति युगायितं निमिषेण चक्षुषा प्रागशायितं शून्यायितं जगत्सर्वं गोविन्दाविरहेण मे पादप्रतां पिनष्टु माम् अदर्शनां मां मर्माहतां करोतु वा यथा तथा वा विदधातु लम्पटो तत्प्राणस्तु न तस एव न परो
Haribol.
Glory to Sangat. Yes, Prabhu, today I may read this.
Yes, Prabhu.
Glory to Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleans the heart of all dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditioned life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious.
O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness you enable us to easily approach you by chanting your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw. In this state, one should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service birth after birth. O son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I am fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms of a lotus seed. O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up? And when will the hairs of my body stand on the end, at the end, at the on end at the recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your suppression, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he enters me roughly in his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord unconditionally.
हरि बोल श्री शिक्षाष्टकम की जय चैतन्य महाप्रभु की
Jai.
बहुजन्म करे आदि श्रवण कीर्तन तबुता न पाया कृष्ण पदे प्रेमदान. If one is infested with the 10 offenses in the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, despite his endeavor to chant the holy name for many births, he will not get the love of God. That is the ultimate goal of this chanting. The 10 offenses against the holy name are as follows. The first offense is to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord.
Second offense is to consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu. Third offense is to disobey the orders of spiritual master. Fourth offense is
to
to
blaspheme the Vedic literature or literature and precedents of Vedic version.
fifth offense is to consider the glories of chanting of Hare Krishna to be an imagination.
Sixth offense to give some interpretation on the holy name of the Lord.
Seventh offense to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name of the Lord.
Eighth offense to consider the chanting of Hare Krishna one of the auspicious ritualistic activities offered in the Vedas as food activities Karmakanda.
Ninth offense to instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name.
Tenth
Tenth
offense.
offense to not have
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, so you can continue.
To not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy names and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success, Krishna Prema. Let us offer our respectful obeisances Unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, they can fulfill the desires of everyone just like these are trees, and they are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Vancha kalpatarubhya.
Kalpatarubhya Kripa Sindhubhya Dana Bhavani Vaishnava
Vaishnavedhyo Namo Namah.
अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय।
Jai
श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय।
Jai
नित्याय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल।
Hari Hari Bol.
हरे कृष्ण।
Thank you so much for joining, Prabhu. Thank you for your
Thank you
assistance.
so much, Prabhu,
Thank you for association.
for your
Hare
association.
Jai Shri Prabhupada.